Hello and welcome to Retro Racing Reviews, where this time out we're going to be taking a look at the Chinese Grand Prix 2017. So I'm on board with Sebastian Vettel in the 2009 spec Red Bull, and the reason I picked this car is because that was the first race that Red Bull won, with obviously Vettel in the driver's seat. He'd won for Toro Rosso the previous year, but this was his first race win for the obviously first of many for the senior squad. So this particular corner, this right-hander, was where we saw some of the most high-octane passing, and I think that was really what this race stood out for me. What made the race stand out was the fact that we got less overtaking, but more than in Australia, and also we got some good overtaking, and I mean really good overtaking. The Vettel and Ricciardo wheel banging, beautiful. When they did that, everybody in the room who was watching just it just energised everybody. It was like, what? They did that? That's brilliant. That is amazing. Really got us pumped for the rest of the race. And combined with that, and Verstappen's charge through the field, and Vettel, other overtakes that Vettel threw, and Ricciardo on Raikkonen and all that kind of other stuff. Fantastic, really good. You saw the top guys swapping positions, battling with each other, kept it clean. Very, very few incidents in the race. I mean, I think the only thing was Perez decided to show his nose to Lance Stroll, who obviously didn't see him, and just 147.85. Just ended up wiping out, which was a real shame, because to be honest, he didn't really do a lot wrong. Perez took a bit of a gamble with that, and just a shame really. But he's not had very many race laps. I mean, he needs to start putting some laps on the board soon, just to get the experience under his belt, because the Williams doesn't look like a very good car this season, I have to say. I mean, Massa was really struggling during the race, but mind you, this is something that's happened to Williams for the last few years now. They've produced cars that go well in the dry, generally relatively competitive, and in the wet it's like they're driving on ice. They might as well not be bothering. They might as well go, oh, it's wet, we won't show up. So a bit of a problem there for Williams, but I think it's their Achilles heel. There's not going to be that many wet races across the season, I would wager, so they probably won't suffer too much with it. But it's more one of those ones, say like at Silverstone, where getting through the entire weekend without any rain is going to be a bit of a stretch. So if the track's washed clean on like the Thursday or the Friday, and it doesn't necessarily rubber in fully for the race, is that going to cause Williams problems? I mean, it does seem to be a concern. So Hamilton, 10 out of 10, pole position, fastest lap, led every lap, won the race, job done. Once Vettel had been boxed in behind Raikkonen, I think Mercedes just did everything they could to keep everything measured. That was a 148.41. Sorry, not take any risks. And then at that stage, it was really just a case of making sure everything was good, and he stayed to the finish. Now he was even. I don't know whether he was playing with this, but I did feel it was a bit cheeky. He said, "Oh, I think the tyre's going off," and the Mercedes pit wall, like, stick with it, Lewis. And he went, right, okay, I'll just do the fastest lap of the entire race. So at that stage, I don't know whether it ended up being the fastest lap. It was about halfway through. So the Mercedes did seem to be able to live with the Ferrari in terms of tyre longevity, which did seem to be a little bit of a concern for them in Australia. So whether that was just the case that the track wasn't as warm, the conditions were a bit less than ideal. So they were, and obviously they weren't in a wheel-to-wheel fight at that stage. So it'll be interesting. I don't think we've quite seen the two of them in a straight-up fight where Vettel's maybe just been that little bit faster, or where Hamilton's been trying to come back at Vettel. So I don't know, that'll happen sooner rather than later. I think Bahrain coming up is going to have I would guess the chance for some argy-bargy between the two of them. Now, looking at it, Verstappen, is there anything that this guy can't do? Superlative drive off from 16th place, so 7th by the end of the first lap, drags the whole thing up to second, ends up finishing in 3rd place.
That was a 1:46.02.
So brilliant drive from him. Can't really speak more highly. Going into sort of TV cam mode for a few laps now, just so you can have a quick look. And it's really weird how narrow the 2009 car looks by comparison. It's bizarre how quickly I felt able to get used to the new cars. They look fantastic. I'm really loving this season. The cars look good. The overtaking was top notch at this race, and I think overall it's looking really promising. If you're an F1 fan, certainly I wasn't sitting there bored out of my tiny little mind for an hour and 45 minutes. The things that were a bit of a shame during the race, that nobody got up to challenge Hamilton, but as I've said, that's only to be expected given the fact that Vettel made a good strategy call, but the Giovinazzi's accident then put the kibosh on that. So just unfortunate. We were denied a fight for the race win, but we got a fight all throughout the field basically. So other than Massa being slow, the Renaults being just not at the races at all, again Palmer just looks a bit lost out there, which is a shame. The Force Indies ran strong again. We had I think Ricciardo had a relatively quiet drive apart from the bits of excitement where he was sort of being overtaken. I mean, he did end up finishing a good 4th place. Definitely had the measure of Kimi in that regard. Kimi's disappointing as well. I think he was certainly not happy with the way that things were going. Sort of complained of problems with the car, but he's just not really on Vettel's pace either in qualifying or in the race. So I think now that Seb seems a bit happier, it's going to be a case, I think, for Kimi. He's got to step up. Otherwise, I think Ferrari are already talking quite seriously to him about his performance. So whether or not this is a precursor to a bit of a contract standoff in the mid part of the year, where we have to see whether he gets another drive for the following season, I don't know. Whether this is the sort of slow and inevitable descent as his powers wane into his late 30s. It's kind of sad to see, but I'm hoping that he'll get to grips with the car and show us that we're writing him off too soon. So other than that, I think for everybody else it was pretty much as you were. Nobody else, I think, apart from the people I've mentioned, really stood out for good or bad. Carlos Sainz, bit of an edge case, I would say. I mean, I think he made a really gutsy decision to take the dry tyres off the from the grid, but it did mean that he did look like a bit of a wally for the first few laps, as he really was struggling to get everything under control. When that came through, though, it did allow him to grab a very credible 7th place. So it's one of those ones where it's very hard, I think, to tell just how good Sainz is. I think he's very good, but Kvyat is just not. I don't think he's really at the races, so to speak. In terms of McLaren, once again Alonso proved his worth, and then the car let him down. Same old. Van Dorn wasn't anywhere close. Couldn't really see what Lance Stroll was capable of due to his early incident, but I think Ocon acquitted himself okay, and overall I think it was one of those ones where it didn't tell us anything we didn't already know in that regard. So overall, looking quite hopeful for the season ahead. I think what the main surprise was that the tyres are actually holding up quite well behind the behind other cars, so you can actually follow, wait for an opening, try and pressure the other driver, and then take it, and be able to actually make a bit of headway once you've done so, as Vettel was able to do briefly into Hamilton's lead, until Hamilton sort of got the hurry up and pegged the gap. So positive stuff. So China is a bit of a weird one. I think it's nice, big, wide, fast track in a lot of places. Some good overtaking zones as well. But I think the wet weather did slightly skew the race overall. But I think it put the Red Bulls a bit further up than they would have been otherwise. They're not looking on the pace of the Ferrari and the Mercedes. So hopefully they'll get some more bits sooner rather than later. Anyway, on to Bahrain. See you next time out. Thanks very much for watching. Bye.